Hello, friends. Welcome back. We are back and rolling, coming to you loud and clear from Madison, Wisconsin. What's up, guys? It's been a minute. It has been a minute. I have not gotten around to shooting a podcast in a while, so apologies on that. There's just been a lot of shit going on in my life these past, this past like month and a half. It's been something like that, but haven't forgotten about you guys. I've been meaning to actually, literally, I probably wake up every day and I'm just like, God damn, I need to shoot another podcast. But that's a good thing, I know. I think that's a good thing to have that incentive, to have that kind of the determination, the drive to get them pumped out. But yeah, I haven't been able to get around to shooting one for a minute now. Just a lot of, I guess, just stuff that I've had to deal with these past couple months. I've been going home here and there, been seeing some friends. That's been nice. Went up to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, saw some buddies, a few weekends there. Saw my parents here and there, so that's been good. But yeah, guys, there's been some changes that has happened since I believe it was mid-April when I shot the last one. I think it was mid-April, something like that. But yeah, I got a new job. That was probably the biggest thing, the biggest transition. That's just been taking up a ton of my headspace the past like month and a half, 2 months. As with any new job, it's gonna derail you for a little bit and get a little bit, take a little time to get used to. But that's been good. I was planning to switch it up there for quite some time, and then it finally just happened. So yeah, that happened about mid-April. So that's been good, man. New position's been good, liking it a lot. Definitely a necessary transition for myself personally. The other place I was at before just, wasn't, didn't really line up with, how or where I wanted to be in the future. So, obviously you got to make some changes if you are starting to get those realizations, which I did. It was a long time coming there where I was, kind of seeing what was going on behind the curtain at this place, and I was just like, yeah, I think it's about time to pack my bags. So I did that. Thankfully, got something better. Doing some cool stuff. Yeah. So I guess I haven't even fucking like told you guys this, I don't think, or like talked on this at all. But I went to college at University of Wisconsin Eau Claire. Graduated May 2019, so pretty much 2 years ago now. Graduated with a degree in environmental geography with an emphasis. I got a certificate in geographic information systems. That term probably you guys probably it's essentially like information systems, but just like geographic. So a lot of like techie kind of IT stuff. But it's cool. That's what I graduated with. So I've been, this last place I was at, I was doing a lot of like 3D mapping, 3D map work, which is super cool. Working with like point cloud LiDAR data sets, doing some cool stuff. Some like 3DM extraction. Hang on, guys, 1 second. I'm going to turn on the AC in my apartment. It just got stuffy as hell in this room. 1 second. Don't mean to jump out of here like literally 2 minutes in, but I gotta turn the fucking AC on. I made that as quick as I could. Sorry for the postpone there. But yeah, this I shoot this podcast in this den I got here in this apartment. It's actually really nice. There's like a bunch of windows a lot of natural light, and then like a nice space for your computer or my computers and stuff, my roommate's stuff. We both work in here, but it can get so damn stuffy. I think our apartment is like very well insulated, which it has to be for the winters out here. But in the summertime, we've noticed it's just been getting like, it's not even that hot out right now. There's just like no air gets in here whatsoever, so it can get pretty stuffy. So had to crank on the AC there, so I'm not just like sweating talking to you guys like 45 minutes in. But let's see, what was I talking about? Yeah, so I do like mapping stuff. Create like maps. There's a lot of stuff you can do with like geography. A degree in geography. And I like kind of the holistic, mindset that education gave me, like the world encompassing worldview. And as you can see by my nice little tapestry behind me, I do enjoy the earth and just like learning about stuff, the connections between things geographically. I don't know. I think that stuff is like super interesting and really cool. It gives you a cool like outlook on life and just like how the world works. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, this new position I'm at does like they do it's incredibly hard to describe and put into words for someone who like isn't in the industry. But essentially what they do is like cable line routing and mapping. So like telecom work, telecommunication work. So we do like a lot of work for the big cable companies and stuff like that. Mapping out new residential developments, plant upgrades, all that kind of stuff. The position itself is called a design engineer. So it's like you're designing maps and figuring out the engineering intricacies or the engineering, technicalities that and attributes that go into, like a new residential subdivision. So you map all that stuff, right? And then our maps get handed off to like the construction workers who are actually going to go out in the field and build this stuff from the ground up. So it's pretty cool. It's like a lot of real world applications. Makes you, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm actually, a part of, helping out the construction crews out there, and I'm building stuff, building the maps, creating the maps for things that haven't even been constructed yet, built yet. So I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. So I've been enjoying that. Been there about a month now, a month and a half, something like that. But it's been good, man. I'm happy for that. I was grateful to get that transition to something new. Because at a certain point, I'm still very young. I don't have much experience at all, and I've only had like 3 years or so of like professional work experience outside of college now. So still very like green to all this business stuff. But I feel like overall, at least from my takeaway from that last place, it was strange because. You kind of, me and my buddy, Cole, is not my roommate. I met him there. I actually met him there at that job. We just moved in together. We went to the same college. We knew each other through like mutual friends and stuff, so that was pretty cool. But at a certain point there, we both like saw the writing on the wall, and we were like, yeah, I don't know if this is, going the right way. I don't know if this is where we want to be. For the future. And I think in any position, you probably get that realization somewhere along the line. If you're not loving it, if you're not, feeling that passion for your work, I think you have to really kind of take a step back and like reevaluate the situation and don't get like complacent. I think too many people probably fall into that trap. And I could see how easy it would be to fall into that trap and, just set in, get comfortable. Because I could easily have done that, just been like, whatever, okay, this, I can pay my bills here, barely, but I can, and, I can live pretty, decent life, whatever. But I feel like if you're not getting, you don't feel that passion for it, or you're seeing the writing on the wall, you got to take that initiative, man, and do something about it. So that's what I did. That's what Cole did as well. We both kind of packed our bags there. But yeah, I think that kind of thing applies to most every position. It's, I feel like that's pretty typical. For people to kind of just fall into that thing and get comfortable, even though, it's like you don't know your highest potential. You don't know what levels you could reach, in your work life, personal life, anything really. I think you just got to push yourself, and really take notice of like the environment around you, like what's going on around you, because you can go into work, do your day-to-day, daily tasks, do all your stuff, get your work done and stuff. But I was really like, at least in that place, I was really noticing, everything that was going on around me, with the company, and like just what was happening, around me, to other employees, what the department was doing and stuff like that. It was taking for sure notice of all that stuff, and yeah, just had to change it up a little bit. But yeah, that's been that's been like my main focus for the past little bit here, is just kind of getting into this new gig, getting comfortable with it, getting my training all in. But yeah, working from home now, actually. So that's been another like completely different thing. I've never worked from home before. Cole is too. We both work in this room that I'm shooting this podcast in. It's fun, man. It's fun. But it's been like a huge change. It's been good. I'm actually incredibly grateful to have Cole here working. He has the same position as me. I referred to him for the job. Like I said, we both have the same degree, so like it was extremely beneficial for both of us to kind of get in to this type of deal. So I referred him, so now we're working same place. So I think that's super cool. He works right behind me. We can just shoot the shit while we work, chill out. And yeah, it's good, man. But it's interesting working from home. That was definitely like a huge switch up. I know probably a ton of people started working remotely at like the beginning of the pandemic, last like April or March or May, something like that. But yeah, the last company I was with, they didn't actually allow us to work from home. Unless, it was like an extreme situation or a dire circumstance or something like that. So we didn't have the ability to work from home at the last position. All just stayed in the office, just did our stuff, which is kind of weird when I think back on that. It's like, damn, I don't really get how you can't not allow someone, if they don't feel comfortable at work. I don't get how you can't allow them to. I don't know. Besides the point, but it's been interesting. But I think it was interesting to start working from home now, like a year in to the pandemic, or over a year in. Whereas a lot of other people probably started doing this type of deal a long time ago. But regardless, it's been pretty chill. I've definitely kind of fallen into the kind of flow of things with working from home. I mean, there's really nothing to it. To be honest, I've said before to Cole too, it honestly doesn't even feel like sometimes I'm working. It just feels like I'm getting up out of bed and just, going throughout the day. Because I've gotten pretty comfortable and pretty good at the day-to-day tasks at this new job. So I think I'm at the point now where it's pretty chill, and I'm not like stressing waking up to go to work every day, where I'm like, oh shit, I don't know, like, am I gonna be able to do this stuff and whatnot. But I've kind of realized that the gig isn't too bad. I'm definitely able to learn new things and pick up new abilities and apply them to the job. So that's been good. But overall, man, yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. Just that new job. It's been a big thing. Um, Other than that, like not too much else really. I've been needing to like get outside and shoot more, take more photos. I've been really trying to do that more. I've been lacking, man. It's just one of those things where I gotta force myself to get out there and do it. So that's been kind of on my mind lately. Um, but yeah, I've been hitting the gym here and there too. That's been nice. But yeah, I've been taking a lot of weekends just to like go around and see friends and whatnot. Go see the fam. So that's been good. But yeah, so that's kind of been what's going on. Little update for you guys. But in this one, let's see. Yeah, I wanted to go back again. This will probably be the last like segment of this like backstory I'm trying to throw out there for you guys of my life. I've been on this kind of for a while now, but this will probably be the last one because I think I've spent enough time on just talking about myself. And yeah. So in this one, in the last one, I talked about like middle school years a lot. That was cool. It was extremely difficult to remember like those years because I remember the last one I was talking about just how like short that time period is, like middle school. It's only three years, like 6th through 8th grade, right? So it's super quick, and it was hard for me to remember a lot of stuff except like just like places and events and certain people. But it's all just like middle school to me is just more like it's like a 100-meter race. It's like a 100-meter dash. It's fast. It's a blur. You don't know you don't know what's gonna happen at the end. But yeah, in this one I want to kind of go into more or less high school and just stuff in those years before going off to the college. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I could go over in those 4 years of high school. I'll probably pick out some pointers or I don't know what throughout this thing. But I mean, crazy years, right? I mean, those years are probably the most formidable. They're probably the most like forming years of I would say like your youth maybe is that those high school years, and it certainly was for me too. I mean, I think of high school and it's like damn, every single year you're just like a completely different person. Damn near every 6 months it's like everybody's changing, growing up so quick, going through all that puberty shit. And it's just like you go in, you come into it, come into high school one person, come out a completely different person. So that's interesting. It's crazy how much goes on in those 4 years and how much stuff changes, how much you grow up. Your perspective on the world just completely like opens up, I think. At least, mine did. I can kind of remember like how I viewed the world coming into high school, like freshman, 8th grader freshman. I was still in that stage of this is all just, this is just what happens, new school, whatever, new transition. I'm still just a kid. Nothing really affects me. These adults in this world, they can deal with all the problems. I'm never going to, get there. That's a thing that's not going to happen. I'm not going to grow up. I think that was more or less, still kind of the outlook I had coming into high school. And then, of course, by the end of it, you're kind of, you're just hit with the reality of the world and what's going to happen and so many questions. What do I want to do? Who am I going to be? Where's my place in the world? So I think that's like the craziest thing about those years is just all of the transformation, the transformational processes that happen. It's nuts. And like when you think about it too, I mean, it really depends on like who your friends are, what school you go to, where you grow up, everything. I think it's like situationally and like environmentally, it's everything, what's around you, and all that shit. Just like, it makes you who you are. And it's crazy because you have no like say in that, right? You kind of just, you're born where you're born and you grow up where you grow up. It's not really like you can control that at all. And then at the end of it all, coming out of high school, it's like, boop, this is what this city has birthed this person. And that's like the whole geography thing. So I'm kind of like thinking geographically right now, but it's like, place, location, the people, the culture of that place, all of it. It just, I think all of those kind of mashed together in those high school years, and they all kind of flourish and blossom exponentially in those high school years. And then at the end of it, you really come out as kind of like a representation of, the place you grew up, the people you grew up with, your parents, all that shit. Kind of hard to put into words, but I think you guys probably know what I mean. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, man. Again, if you're just jumping into this, you have no idea why I'm talking about this. For context, in these first episodes of the pod, I wanted to more or less just give like a background of myself, just like a light little snip of my life history up until this point. And I've just been going through like the school years, because I think that's like the easiest way to remember growing up is just like through those school years, through those different grades and stuff. So I talked about, the early years from what I could at least remember in elementary and then middle, and now we're here, up until high school. And then after that, I mean, it's pretty much, I don't know. It's pretty much whatever we can talk. I can obviously go into other stuff, and I want to bring like some of my buddies on from college and talk about times we've had, and just shoot the shit with those guys. So I'm sure a bunch of stories from like college will come up and just experiences and stuff. But before any like guests come on and stuff like that, I wanted to get a more or less like a biography out there, audio biography, or I don't know, just me trying to remember how, I grew up, what affected me, what made me who I am, the things that I went through, the things I experienced. I think that's, I don't know, I personally think that could be beneficial. It could be good for you guys listening, just to get this out here right away, right at the start of whatever this podcast will eventually become. Just to have this at like the start, I think it's, I don't know, just kind of something I wanted to do. And plus, the other thing with this whole thing too, it's, I consider this kind of like a audio history, more or less. Like, I have no expectations for this thing. It's pretty much just like, I want to get this stuff out there as kind of like a catalog of history, of my life, my friends' lives, parents, acquaintances, all that shit. I think it's cool just to like collect like an audio history of this stuff. It's like a big book, right? It's the book. It's like you're building a book. So I just think that's like, it's cool conceptually to think of podcasting like that. I don't know. At least that's how I've been thinking about it. Obviously, I see podcasts out there with like tons of like cool themes and stuff like that. And, there's tons of things you can do with it. But I think baseline, for me, this is kind of like this simple way of thinking about it. Really no like high expectations or anything. Just kind of want to do it. So yeah, guys, I guess let's get into this. Yeah, on the last one, left off right before I jumped into high school. So I was like eighth grade. I think you're like 13, something like that. Uh, but at this point in my life, I was like heavily into sports. Heavily into sports. That's pretty much all I really did throughout these years. That was like my main focus before airsofting took over. I guess it was also it was like hand in hand. It was like airsoft sports and video games. So that was like my main focus back in those years. And then of course, like if you're questioning what the hell am I talking about airsoft for, again, this channel, if you need some context, I've got like tons of videos on this channel about just like airsoft stuff. That's what I did as a kid with all my friends. It's just something we did to have fun, go in the woods, fucking shoot airsoft guns in each other. And I made videos about it. So, but it was just one of those like kid passions you have that you're crazy about. So, and then, yeah, I just decided to turn this channel and everything else into the pod. So the book. So yeah. Those years were tons of sports, and then airsoft, video games. Pretty much it. Like, there wasn't anything much else than that. I played hockey, cross country, track, baseball. I stopped playing hockey in high school, and I stopped playing baseball in high school, or I should say before high school started. Because at that point I kind of needed to hone in on like something. It was one of those things where I kind of had to pick and choose. So, but yeah, actually it's interesting when I think back to those kind of like sport moments, the moments I had in sports and stuff like that. I think I might have said this before, but I was never really like a kid who would be out there like, actively like pushing myself to go do these things, right? I was not the type of kid to be like, "Hey dad, like I want to go do this," or "I want to get into this sport," or "I want to go, do whatever." It was I always had to be like pushed from like my parents or my friends or something like that. I was the type of kid who if my parents would have allowed me to, I probably would have stayed inside all day, 365 days a year, and played video games. Like, it was bad, bro. I had like a serious full-out addiction to video games. Like, RuneScape for sure. That was one of my OG. I still play it here and there actually, which is kind of funny. But old school RuneScape, I fucking would stay up all night on my parents' computer, fucking desktop, playing that shit. And then of course like Call of Duty, Halo, all the OG Xbox 360 video games. I had an Xbox 360. So I was total full blown like video game freak, like crazy. And so like if my parents wouldn't have been pushing me to like go out and do these things, I probably would have stayed inside and not joined any type of like extracurriculars, which is kind of sad. But I'm grateful as hell and it was mostly my dad. It was mostly my dad who was like, and I'm so grateful that he did this stuff, that he pushed me to go out and do these things because I wouldn't have. But he was always like, you know what, Paul, you got to get up off your ass, get outside and go do something, right? Like any dad would. And I would just, complain and bitch and moan. People like, nope, you're going to go do this. You're going to join hockey. Or he'd be like, I'm putting you in baseball. I'm putting you in hockey. Or I'm putting you in cross country. And so that's how all that stuff kind of started. It was like initially my dad like just pushing me to go out and do this stuff, which is awesome. I'm ashamed that I didn't take the initiative as a 12-year-old. But it's funny because after I got pushed into doing those extracurriculars, those sports, just all that stuff. There were other passions and hobbies and interests that grew off of those things, right? Like photography and whatnot, and just being outdoors and stuff like that. And so, like, without that initiative from my dad to just push me into those things, who knows what the hell I would have gotten into, or if I would have just kept playing video games. And it's crazy because I think that's probably like a huge issue nowadays, even more so, is just the video game craze, right? I mean, I can't imagine being, just from my personal experiences going through like my teenage years and video games, it sucked my life away, man. Like, it's nuts to think about, and it's not like I regret. It's not like I regret, it's just drowning hundreds of hours into a video game or anything. I had fun. I was a kid. I was just fucking around. I had fun. But looking back on it, like being removed from it, it's actually insane, like how much your life just gets sucked away by a video game, right? I don't play them much at all anymore. I'll watch movies and TV here and there, but I don't have a console or anything. I'll play like old school RuneScape on my phone here and there, just for like nostalgia purposes. But it's nuts when I think about that all the time, and that was honestly like it was actually in those high school years, I think, when this happened, when this kind of, I think I had a lot of like epiphanies in high school, right? This is where a lot of stuff is just like going off in your head, and you're making, I don't know, I had a lot of epiphanies and realizations, big realizations throughout those high school years, and a lot of stuff just clicked, right? And I either, started doing, stuff that I wanted to do, stopped doing stuff that, was taking up too much of my time and that wasn't like valuable to me, because I really started thinking about like my future, and because that's what you have to face in those years, is your future, and like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Who the fuck are you gonna be, kid? Like, are you gonna, like, what the fuck? So that was honestly one of the biggest things. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is that switch with the video games and stuff, because it opened up so much time. Like, so much time. And I can't exactly remember when it happened specifically, but it happened in the early years of high school, where I basically it was like one day I just, after thinking about, getting involved in these other things, and I was having more on my plate. I had other passions that I wanted to pursue. I had sports, airsoft, all this stuff going on. And at a certain point, I was just like, I just didn't have time to play video games. I didn't want to. I was more interested in other things that could make my future better, make myself a better person. And so, it's just like one day I was like, I'm going to sell my Xbox. So, I ended up selling it at like a pawn shop, like my Xbox 360 and everything I had. It was just pretty much like, fuck this. It was probably like a sophomore, junior in high school, something like that. And it was right around the time where I was getting like full blown into photography, when that happened too. That was like when, that was essentially when I started, I bought like my first DSLR camera. It's like a Canon Rebel T5, just like a $500 DSLR, very basic beginner kit. A lot of beginner photographers get that kit. It's just it's a good camera for what you're starting out with. But I got one of those, dropped some money into that, and the rest is history. I mean, that's all I wanted to do after I got a camera. I would go out with my buddies and go out and take like photos, take portraits and stuff like that. Get some shots for the gram. Me and my buddies like Colin, fucking Jack Smiley, Jack Protasky, all those boys. Fucking Numi, Rico, Angel. I remember taking pictures with all those guys. So much fun, man. So much fun. But it was like that was like all I wanted to do in those later years of high school, which was God. I wish I could fucking go do that again right now. Because what would happen is, like a lot of my friends, they were super into like the clothing game and like the, just like streetwear game before I got. I'm into it, but I'm not like crazy into it. Some of my friends are pretty heavily into it. My buddy Colin, he's made a fucking living off that shit. Fucking respect, bro. But so they would have like nice clothes and stuff, wanted to flex them. And I had a nice camera, and we would just go out, take some pics, walk around in the summertime. I just remember like in the summertime, it just being beautiful weather. We'd go out, walk around on the local roads, find some back alleys, just walking around, man, having a good time, taking some flicks. And that was like, yeah, that was really all I wanted to do after I got a camera and I really got into photography, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, this is what I want to do for like the rest of my life. And yeah, so those types of things completely voided out. Like that video game thing, that I think that was like a big shift in my way of thinking, where I essentially, I had the epiphany of like, why am I putting so much time into something that doesn't have value, right? And that's kind of contradictory now that I'm like saying this like 10 years removed, because now there's like a huge industry for video games and like competitive video games, and that's fucking awesome. Like, respect to anyone that can, be that determined and that concentrated to go and just put in that many hours to get that good at a niche game or something like that. It's fucking cool, man. And hella bands, like so much money. And I think, that transition too has happened within like the last 5-10 years. There wasn't really much of that. Even when I was in high school, which wasn't that long ago, it was like 5-6 years ago. But now it's just blown up, right? Now it's just blown up. But for me personally, everyone's different, but that's kind of what I thought. That's essentially like the baseline that I thought of those things as. I was like, man, why am I putting so many hours into something that's not giving me like value? That's not giving me anything in return, right? Like I wanted to put like, I realized that I should start putting my hours into like a skill set, into a real life skill set, not like a virtual thing. But again, like no hate to anybody that like loves video games, and I completely understand. I'm not dissing video games by any means. I'm just like shining my own perspective on it. But yeah, man, that was like a crazy shift in mentality that I had. It's kind of cool to think about. But yeah, and then like other stuff that happened. Let's see, some other stuff that happened throughout high school. When I think about those years too, guys, like there's some things that I can definitely share, but there's some other things that I definitely can't. Maybe not yet, maybe in the future. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. Overall, like when I went into high school, I was one person, right? When I came out of it, it was like I was again like completely different. I actually got. At senior year, right? You see, when you're a senior, at least in my school, we had, you could vote for like the senior class got to vote for like who has the best hair, who has the best eyes, who's the funniest, who's the best at math, and all that shit, right? I actually got voted the most changed from freshman to senior year, which is funny as hell. I just think that's hilarious, and it really rings true. Like, I agree. I completely agree with that, and all of my classmates, they voted right, I would think, because completely different. I went through some dramatic changes throughout those years. I would say like the first freshman, sophomore year, and then junior, senior, like that was completely different people. And it was just like a lot of personal shit, man. A lot of just like personal shit. I started, after, I was super into sports all throughout high school. But I think just like something, I don't know, something started like clicking in my head where I was really like, I got to a point like in my junior year, getting a little bit older. I could drive a car now. My first car was a Pontiac Grand Am. Pontiac Grand Am SE. So just 4-door sedan, 2001. It was white. I called it the Great White Shark. Shitty fucking car. But, first car. Got it for like $4,000. I think it was 4. Maybe it was 2. I have no idea, but it's cheap. It was shitty. But yeah, I mean, like, junior year, what was I talking about? Fuck. Junior year, I could start driving a car, all that shit. You grow up quick, right? And yeah, I went through some personal shit, man. A lot of stuff was changing in my head. I was going to say it was about this time where I really, for some reason, like, I got this attitude of like, fuck the establishment, that kind of shit where you're just kind of like, why the fuck am I getting told what to do by these adults, and like, why do I have to listen to these rules? And I just started questioning a lot of things around those later years of high school. I just started questioning stuff, and I started asking why to a lot of things that I shouldn't have probably asked why to, like why do I have to do this, or what's the point, all that stuff. So it was really like those years. I remember I started to get this new mindset, right? I don't know where it came from. I have no idea. I think it's probably just, because at that point you've been exposed to a lot of stuff, you've grown up, and you're just starting to realize that, this is reality. This is the big time. You're almost out of high school. You're about to step into the world. Get your ass ready, son. And so like, because of that, I was just like, this is bullshit. Like, why do we have to grow up, right? I think I was just like battling with those ideas in my head, battling with the idea of growing up, and just like relationship stuff too, and just like figuring out who I was and like all that shit. And so, yeah, confusing time, right? And so I started to get in some trouble and shit like that. There were some moments where I've definitely fucking, you just go through shit as a kid, right? And you learn. Definitely had my fuck ups in those later years of high school. Definitely had my fuck ups, like, for sure. Some crazy some funny stories, but maybe save them for a different time. But it's not like I was like a bad kid, right? It's not like, there were just like, I had my moments, right? I don't think anybody thought like I didn't think I was a bad kid. I don't think anybody thought I was a bad kid. I was just like, I kind of just started going down this spiral of like, fuck the establishment type shit, right? And by like the end of it, by senior year, after I graduated, obviously all that stuff kind of fizzled down. And I think what else, the other thing is like, once you get older in high school, you're at like, you're the big fish in the pond, right? Like, you've went through the ringer. You're at the top of the game. You're a senior in high school. You basically are like, I want to get the fuck out of here. And nobody can tell me what to do. Right. And then after that, once you graduate, it's like you're a goddamn tadpole again. You're a tadpole in the pond again. You're not a big fish no more. So after like I graduated and stuff, started getting ready for college, I definitely chilled out more, and it was nothing like senior year Paul or like junior year Paul for that matter. Once I graduated, so definitely like chilled out, but yeah, again, like I was a completely different person. From beginning to end. I think generally most people are, right. I think if you're not changing, if you're not developing, if you're not a different person from the time you come in to high school to the time you leave, like there might be something wrong, man. Cause I don't know how you couldn't be, like, I don't know how you can't change in some way. Right. I just had like a very dramatic shift, in just how I viewed the world, what I wanted to do, my personal morals, ideals, all that stuff. Just like it was just like a very dramatic shift for me. So yeah, and the other part of it was, this is personal, but I'm gonna share it. And this is kind of jumping ahead of where, I've got other stuff to talk about, but since I'm talking about the later years, so senior year of high school, I want to say it was just throughout the entire year, I guess, throughout that entire year, senior year, but my parents were going through divorce, right? They were splitting. So, like, obviously, I was affected by that. And it just, like, took me for a ride. Now, I'm not putting any blame anywhere, right? That's just reality. This is just the shit that happens. Like, humans are humans. Humans are going to be humans. My parents went through some shit, like a ton of parents do. Damn near half of them, right? Damn near half of parents go through the shit that my parents went through. So it was, so I was dealing with that, like, throughout pretty much all of senior year. And I think that was, like, a huge catalyst to my behavior and just the complete, like, shift in mentality, and just like my self image, my ideals, what I thought about relationships, my perspectives on everything. I mean, when you're a kid, and obviously any kid that has lived through their parents divorcing or a split, whatever it may be, like, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It definitely hits you to your core, right? It completely changes your fundamentals and what you think relationships are, what you think, who you think your parents are, what you think love is, all that shit. Completely thrown out the window, right? It's a complete shift in everything. So getting that at my last year of high school, senior year of high school, on top of just like graduating and like becoming an adult and all that stuff, it was just nuts. It was nuts. It just caused kind of a spiral, more or less. Like, nothing crazy. I was just being a rambunctious kid. I threw a few parties here and there, like any kid does. And you get in the shits a little bit, but nothing too wild, right? It was just, I think that was like that split, and I think the timing, it was just it was a huge catalyst. It was a huge. Is that the right word? I think that's the right word. It was a huge. It was a huge deal. It affected me greatly. And of course, like, before it happened, there's the build up. You have that build up until the split, right? So it's the years prior to that, obviously, I saw it coming, man. Like, you can't not see it coming, right? So just shit that you got to deal with. That was like that was a huge thing. I mean, again, like, I'm a single or only child. So no brothers, no sisters. I had a dog. It was awesome. Shelby, it's my bae. I miss that dog. But yeah, it was just me in the house and my rents. So like, obviously I was incredibly close to both of them. My best friends, and then my parents. So yeah, it was hard, man. It was hard, but it's not like I'm putting any blame anywhere. That again, that's just life. Like the shit just happens. You don't have control over that shit. And they're both doing well now. They're both doing great. Both of them are happy. I talk to both of them, see them a lot. So I couldn't be happier, man. But I think that was I just want to shine the light on that a little bit because I can't. When I think here's the thing. When I think about high school, I can't not think about that, right? That situation with my parents, because it was just a huge driving force behind the shift in myself and like the changes that happened within myself. That was like a huge driving force behind all that. So I have to shine the light on that, right? But yeah, and then they ended up I graduated. It was kind of timed out, so like by the time I would be going to college and kind of moving out, they'd be dealing with their own shit and they'd have time and like space to deal with their own shit. So it was kind of timed out in that way, which is good, but shit just happens like that. But I can't not think about high school, or I can't think about high school and not think about that situation as well, because it was like, that was a huge driving factor behind, changes in myself personally. So, but all in all, man, I mean, I had, some of the greatest friendships I made were in high school. I think I wanted to talk on friendships a lot too, because those friendships you form in high school, I think, are just incredible, right? It's such a strange time and place to be, right? You've grown up with all those kids. You've known them since they were damn near 6 years old, and you're talking to them as 17, 18-year-old now, and you're friends with them and shit. It's like, it's just your life friends, right? We all went through like the same place. We all went through the same, the same type of environment growing up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Midwest, born and raised. But it's just a crazy, I don't know. That was like another thing that I really kind of realized back then too, was the fact that it was like a wow moment. It's like, damn, like, you look around the lunchroom. There'd be days where I'd look around the lunchroom and just be like, damn, dude, like, all these kids, bro, we all went through the same shit. Like, we all grew up in this goddamn town. All grew up in this city. All went through the same schools, and here we are. The clock's ticking. The countdown is coming till graduation. And there was just a lot of those moments where I was like, I had a feeling of being grateful. I had a feeling of not wanting to let go of those friends, not wanting to move on from that. But that's impossible. Everybody has to. It doesn't last forever. But it was, I think I really started to realize that, these friendships that I was making throughout those years were, friendships that I would have for, the rest of my life. I'd always be able to go and talk to those friends, reconnect anytime. And it was beautiful, man. I really think, like, at least with, from what I perceived, at least, it seemed like my class, and like, by the time, like, I was a senior, and all that, like, there wasn't really, it seemed like, at least my class and like the class below me, just a lot of the kids in my high school were all just like super chill together. I mean, at least for me personally, in my perspective, like, I was friends with a bunch of different like groups, a bunch of different quote unquote cliques, I guess. I was just like friends with a bunch of kids, right? Whoever it may be. And so I kind of, I don't know. this could be a biased perspective, but at least from my perspective, it seemed like by the time I was a senior, everyone is kind of just chilling. Like I hung out with a lot of people, everybody. I had friends just doing a lot of different shit, into different things, and everybody seemed like super chill with one another. Obviously, it's not like that every day. There's your beefs here and there, but overall, man, I just get like when I think back to those years, I just get a really good vibe. Like me and my friends and me and my class and just everybody, I think we had a lot of fun, dude. Like regardless, there's a ton of shit that happens in high school. I feel like just a ton of like little shit, and obviously, it's just kids being kids. And there's moments that are bad, but overall, when I think back, it's like I just think of a lot of the fun times that I had with my friends overall in like the entire school, the sports, all the events. And it just seemed to me I just remember good vibes, dude. Like just all the stuff you do for like the first time, right? Just like everything's new, you're finally growing up, you're becoming a real person. You're starting to understand the world around you. You're starting to build your own ideas about things and whatnot. And at the same time, like you're surrounded by some of your best friends, who live within a 15-minute radius of you. You can always go hang out with them. You're driving a car for the first time, figuring out where we can get some beer from, figuring out where we can get some alcohol from, being our 18-year-old selves. As every senior high schooler does. So everything was just new, man. Everything's just like new for the first time. And I just think of a lot of fun times, a lot of good times, right? And again, like even though I had my moments and everybody has their moments, I had my fuck ups, definitely had my fuck ups. Like, I still have great memories from those times, dude. And it's a time period I'll always look back on. And I think I'll remember the bad times more than the good ones, to be honest, because those moments where I was like fucking up in high school and, just doing some stupid shit, or I don't know. Those moments, I think I remember them more and more clearly than the good ones, but the good ones, the good ones. How do I put this into words? I remember the bad moments more clearly and more vividly, but I think the good moments are more distributed over like all of those 4 years. Like the good ones encompass all of the bad ones, right? I look back on high school and the bad moments stick out extremely clearly. They're imprinted in my head as learning moments, right? They're up here as like, okay, went through some shit. I'm not going to do some shit like that again, right? Extremely clear, very vivid. But the good memories and like, just the hangouts, the summertime, going to the beach, taking pictures with my buddies, all that shit. Those memories encompass the whole thing. I still get very, very good vibes and all that stuff thinking back on those years. So, man, it's like, couldn't be happier, dude. Couldn't be happier. It's beautiful. And yeah, I think last thing to kind of wrap it up here. Yeah, I think the last thing, I didn't, again, like when you start high school, when you start those years and you're kind of, moving through it initially, it's like, wow, like what the hell is going on here? Like, who are these older kids? They look like they're 20, 25 years old, right? when you're a ninth grader. And it's just like, wow, everything's new. What's going on? Just trying to figure it out. And then by the end of it, you know, when you're reaching the end of it, at least for me, like when I was getting closer to the end of it, I kept having more and more of these like epiphanies of like, just like the realization of how precious those moments are. And, you know, as I was living in them, right, I was having these moments and these epiphanies, like as I was living in them. Something, again, like these things would just click in my head where I would, you know, be sitting at the lunch table, or I'd be hanging out with one of my buddies in my car, or whatever it may be. It might be on the track field, might be in a class somewhere. But I remember these moments where I would just look around and at whatever was happening and kind of have like an out-of-body experience, you know, where what would come into my head would be, this doesn't last forever. Like, this isn't forever. Like, this is going to end, right? Again, I was having this at like the later end of high school when I was getting closer to, you know, senior year, graduating, all that shit. This would become more and more prevalent, these epiphanies, these ideas of, wow, you know, take this in now. Appreciate this moment. Be present in this moment now, because this is special. This is unique. This is a moment that you're never going to get back, ever. And that's the thing about high school. You can never, or any of those years growing up in childhood, you never get them back. You can't redo anything. You do it one time and one time only, and it's over. And that's crazy, right, when you think about it. And when you're living through it, most of the time you don't think of it like that. You're just living through it. You're just being present. You know, you're not, again, like as a kid that young, you're not really like too concerned on the future. You're not too concerned about who you're going to be until you reach those years, until you reach those later years. And you're hit with those questions, right? So that was like a huge thing. And I don't know if you guys experienced this at all. I don't know if this is just me, or if this happens to anyone else out there. But for me personally, like nearing to those later years of like 16, 17, 18 years old, those ideas just kept popping in my head, sitting in a classroom or just doing like a mundane routine thing in high school. I would like have this out of body experience where I'd be like removed from myself and just observing what's around me and being just, it would be like that holistic thinking of, this isn't appreciate what's happening now, take this all in for what it is now, because kid, you're about to go out into the world and never come back, right? You're never going to get the chance to be present in this moment ever again. So a lot of those good times, that's kind of what I like think about, like a lot of those good times, a lot of those amazing memories, the friendships, just everything, all those good times. I remember like with having those kind of out of body experiences. It was just a very prevalent thing and something that really kind of just started happening to me. And I think it would probably happen to a lot more people. I think it probably happens to a lot of people too. Maybe just like subconsciously even too. Like I realized that type of thinking was like, for me, that type of thinking was new. I realized that it was new. It was like a new thought. It was like a new idea that kind of revealed itself to me in those years. And I think a lot of us probably go through that type of thinking subconsciously, or maybe you're conscious of it and you realize it, kind of like I did, and you can take a step back, man, and just look around, appreciate where you are, be present in that moment, be grateful for what's around you, be grateful for the friends you have around you, the teachers you have. I had some of the greatest teachers, man, some of the greatest. But yeah, that was those moments. I definitely had a lot of those kind of thoughts in those years where, you're growing up. There's a lot more to come, and this doesn't last forever. So appreciate it, right? Appreciate it. Even though there's, the bad moments, and, you got to learn. You got to learn. You got to grow up. You got to go through the bad shit and learn from it so you can become a better person. I mean, that's just what it is. But you got to appreciate those moments, man. And yeah, high school was good. It was just it was a crazy ride, dude. It was a crazy ride thinking back on all of it now. And it goes by so damn quick. When you're in it, it seems like forever. Once you hit that last year, man, feels like the blink of an eye. So appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I've really enjoyed talking about these kind of growing up years over these past couple podcasts, these first ones, and I'm glad I got it out here for these first episodes. So I hope you guys enjoyed kind of like just my take on things. And I wanted to record these and kind of just get them out there as like an audio history of like what I went through just growing up and shit like that. Everybody goes through different stuff. Everybody grows up kind of in different places, has different experiences. And those were just, a few of my experiences. Those are just kind of like my thoughts. And from what just like from what I can remember about those years. And I think it's good to get them out there into the virtual universe now before I'm old and can't remember shit, right? Because that happens. That's going to happen. I'm going to get old. I'm going to start forgetting stuff. So I figure better to look back on those years now while they're still fresh in my head relatively, and I can pick up things and talk about them rather than like 10, 20 years down the line. And I'm trying to remember like, man, what did happen in elementary school? What did happen in middle school? It's just a blur now. I can't remember anything, but hope you guys enjoyed those little bits that I kind of picked out of there and shared for you guys. There's tons of other stuff I could talk about, but just wanted to give you guys like just an overall look and kind of a short glimpse of my growing up and my growing up years and those years and whatnot. But for the future plans here, guys, I don't know if you can see. I think you guys could probably see in the frame, but I got a second mic. And another like stand and stuff. I got another pair of headphones on the way here. So we are ready to go for some guests. So I'm hella excited for that. Get some of my friends in here and just shoot the shit, man. Just go down some rabbit holes, talk about life, and whatever. Just have some fun, kick back, chill. So that'll be good. I'm excited to get some of my friends on here and just have some conversations to throw up there for you guys, and I hope you guys will enjoy them too. I love my friends. My friends are the best. All my brothers. So have those. We'll definitely be having some guests on here. And yeah, it'll just be fun. Again, I have no fucking expectations for this. It's just something to do, right? Per the pandemic, you can. This podcast got spurred out of the coronavirus pandemic. So again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and be ready for some guests here soon. And I'm definitely gonna try and get to a scheduled kind of podcast. I think I want to do it like every weekend at least. That's what I've been trying to do, but it's been a while since the last one. But you know how it is, life and shit. But all right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Stay well, get outside, enjoy the summer weather. Happy Memorial Day. Hope you guys enjoyed the 3-day weekend. So, all right, guys, love you all. Peace.